Hey everybody, I don't know if you can hear me right now, and I don't know how great the audio is. I'm assuming it's pretty good. I'm feeling good about it today, but hit the like, let them know you're there, share the show out. That's how people know the show is on, because I don't make people use the notification bell. I just think it's rude. I think it's rude. It's not right. Oh, and you can share it on your social media stuff as well. You can do that as well. And I know it should be House Party Mornings Megaworldwide. I'll make a graphic later, but I've been busy.
I do not.
All right, we're about to go in about 1 minute. 1 minute. Real quick. All right, here we are. Oh, look at that. And right as I'm fixing it, I break the cardinal rule, which is never appear with green screen behind you in any circumstance. I'm talking to you, Lauren Boebert. And whoop, this is better. All right, I'm very shiny because I've got a lot of sun. And I have a third arm. That's the other thing. You know, I don't know if you know this, but Disney World is very close to a nuclear dump. And all right, so that arm that you're seeing in the background is our dear friend Rob Glenn. There he is.
Hello,
and why do you have a brick wall and I have that? We got to fix that.
We're in two different rooms, right?
We can't be in two different rooms because we're live here. Yeah, we're live in Cartoon Land. It's I'm in Chicago for Sexy Liberal, and Nerd Halen is tonight, and Rob Glenn is here in Chicago, and so we're doing Friday AI live, which I'm very excited about. And it's really cool to be in the same room with Rob and not need too much help with my gear. A little bit.
He did it almost all himself.
Yeah, this is I almost feel like it's like you on safari, where you're like, okay, the animal is about to be eaten by a crocodile. Clearly, its leg is broken. Do I hop down out of the tree and save it, or do I just let nature take its course?
Right. I mean, we were almost off the rails because we were going to set up my station with his information.
Right.
We nixed that idea pretty quick.
Yeah, because but it was good because this is sans your laptop being set up, so you can reference. This is basically Rob gets to see live what my scramble set is that I have to do every time, and it's not half bad. I will say also we are testing the little lavaliers, the little linkage lavalier, for the first time. So fingers crossed. It sounds pretty good so far. If these work, my lord. And I hope that I feel like I'm testing them, and I really want them to work because I helped Frangela pick out some lavaliers as well.
Nice. These same ones?
Yes.
Okay.
And I hooked it up for their camera because what they were trying to do is live record their sets. And hi, chat room. I'll be with you in just one moment, I promise, after we get through the morning pleasantries. But I helped them set these up for their camera, but I hadn't yet hooked it up to a laptop for that thing. And I was like, come on, it should be simple. But that's always how it is.
Yeah.
It always should be simple. And it's often a nightmare. That said, they seem to be working all right. Oh, look at that super chat from Jenny Faye. Mumpet hubby's birthday is the day after mine. Oh, or it's the day before mine actually. Mine's the 25th. He's the 24th. And they're heading to Chicago from Indy tonight for both Nerd Halen and Sexy Liberals. That's awesome. I will see you tonight. That's fantastic. I got to tell you, I'm so excited about these shows, and not just because I went to New Trier and I feel like I'm home. I literally feel like the air is better when I'm in Chicago. Like I can breathe.
You always get good weather. Every time I've seen you here, the weather's been gorgeous.
Yeah, even when it's snowing, it's like Christmas Wonderland. Every time I come here, I bring the happy joy sky with me. Yeah. That said, very excited. I mean, are you apprehensive at all just purely as a Chicagoan for the DNC next week and all the alleged shenanigans that are supposedly going to happen?
No, I mean, Chicago's way better than everybody says it is. So
right.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody's been talking about how there's going to be protests. and Mike Pillow's going to be here, and if the Mike Pillow, gang, all three of them meet Antifa, what's that? It's going to be the world's most violent pillow fight you've ever seen. It's just going to be like Kansas soup and patented Phil.
I mean, maybe it's a good sign that
poof.
Maybe it's a good sign that all the people are converging on the DNC as opposed to the RNC because people are actually paying attention to the DNC.
Yeah, so, they'll hear the message. And they'll. Well, also, I gotta say, protesters, you're adorable. And I understand this idea that like '68 was a big move for civil rights and that kind of stuff, attacking the DNC. That was when the DNC was still largely made up of leftover Dixiecrats, many of whom were pro-segregation, were still aligned with the South. They were like leftover Lyndon Johnson Democrats, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same group. You can't bring the same like we have nothing to lose but our chains fight to this DNC when a woman of color is at the top of the ticket and a white dude is in second position from a northern state like Minnesota.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work the same, especially when they didn't show up for the RNC and they didn't go to Mar-a-Lago when Netanyahu was there. Like, they'll paint the Liberty Bell, they'll write Gaza all over Liberty Bell, but they won't write it over the gate of Mar-a-Lago when he's literally there saying, he even said it last night, you've got to finish the problem, get your victory and get it over with. Which, I mean, that's not how you preserve civilian life. Call me crazy. But that said, that's all for the Chicago part of it. Also, we will have a bit of regular Fried AI just because we can, because there's plenty of that story around it. And I think a lot of people are more worried about the I don't know. I mean, the deep fake part of things is what scares most people about it. Is that they're going to create video that makes it look like, Kamala Harris is sawing a baby in half in a in a basement of Comet Ping Pong with Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin, and it's going to look super realistic and have like timestamps on it and stuff. It's the kind of stuff that would take days to parse as being fake, as opposed to obviously photoshopped. I think that's what makes people really nervous.
Yeah, the best AI stuff I've seen, you can still tell is AI. That's one thing. It's going to be a bit before you can truly fake out people. I mean, people already look at photoshopped, like pictures of people, and they'll say, oh, here's all the places it was photoshopped, right? You can do the same thing with AI. But I'm actually thinking about it from the opposite direction, in the sense of it should be telling to us how when Trump tried to say the crowds are AI, nobody believed him.
Right. Yes, that was exactly the point you and I have been making throughout this, is that it's going to destroy people's suspension of disbelief is out the window.
Right.
Like, they're suspicious of everything to the point of suspicious of nothing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And also one of the funny things about that is dude, this is a terrible time to try and launch that attack, because there's literally thousands of people with video posting it online of their perspective of the very same thing. And conceivably, could you AI that entire event? Of course you could, but it would take you the same length of time it took, for example, to do the Endgame fight scene in Avengers. So many different angles, all of them matching, the light matching, all that stuff is still a lot of work, even with AI doing it, and never mind the artifacting and stuff.
Yeah, and people they look at that and then they don't believe Trump because he's always lying, right? So Trump has actually messed up his own message in that sense, which he does for everything. But him saying that then puts more of a focus on him, and you look back at all of his stuff and he's AIing everything. Right.
Oh my, well, him and the black ladies, exactly. And he's actually got he's got straightened black hair behind his head, and all the fingers look like the claws of the Skeksis in the Dark Crystal. Yeah, it's a good time. He's
typing in Trump on a horse just like Putin did.
Right.
It's these crazy cartoonish versions of him on there, and he's saying that everybody else is doing it now, and now it's a bad thing. It's people are, they're on top of that. I think that people are more scared that they're going to get fooled.
Yes.
And what we talk about all the time is like our radar is beginning to get better and better. You've talked to Phil about this, where Phil says in Ukraine, they already know, they already sort of, they understand disinformation and misinformation. So their radar is at a different level than ours.
Yeah.
And maybe this time is basically just teaching us how to be a little bit more critical of what we're looking at, and, you know, not believing things right away. Even if they get out, there's like another set of people that are saying why it's not that. So it all just kind of washes out in the mix of people talking about it.
No.
What are you seeing?
Okay, sorry, no audio on Twitch. Okay, it's back. It's good. Okay, that was an issue on there. But other than that, it's great. So I had an epiphany driving over here.
Okay.
Because in looking forward to talking to you directly, beyond even when we're on the air, like just chit-chatting with Rob about these topics makes me feel better.
With no delay.
Yes, right. Exactly. It occurred to me that there was one of the big news reports was about Grok, which is Grok 2 is coming out. That's Elon Musk's, for those of you that don't know. That's the Twitter AI. And the Twitter AI is sort of jokingly the fascist AI. Like it has none of the rules that that the Meta one has, or Claude, or Anthropic, or any of these other ones, because they want to still sell to advertisers. They don't want their AI to be denying the Holocaust. Crazy, I know. But what occurred to me is that, and because they were talking about how cheap it was. Grok, he was able to do Grok, which does these image creations, these realistic images using other people's faces, and basically that kind of, you know, deep fake. You could do deep fakes way easier with Grok 2 than many of the others, because he's got none of the limitations on it. And they were like, and he can do it on the cheap. They said it like they don't. It occurred to me they don't understand that almost all technology is about slowing the explosion. That it is not the act of combustion that drives a car forward. It is the controlled limitation of that explosion. The car is not just pushed forward by one big pop and then another one happens. It's a bunch of little ones mitigated and pressurized and controlled so that it's not only does it roll forward, but it keeps rolling forward. It's not just a rocket. A rocket versus a vehicle are two different things. And Grok is very much like a missile, you know, an unguided missile. He doesn't give a shit about where it lands or the damage that it does. So it's a lot cheaper to make a rocket. The Gazans, making them out of sewer pipes and just filling them with, you know, sugar and fertilizer, and boom, there you go. The Ryder truck explosion of Timothy McVeigh. That is effectively, on a technological level, what he's going for with Grok. Whereas everybody else is trying to like bonsai tree all the edges to make sure it's not, that this explosion of technology is controlled in a way that not only has a benefit, you know, the benefit you're looking for to propel you forward in some way, but also can keep doing it over and over and over again, because that's the other aspect of a complicated engine, is that over time, and I'm sorry if I'm nerding out, but I have a Nerd Halen show tonight, and I'm sitting next to Rob, so piss off.
In a nerd space.
Yes, right, in a totally nerd space. Behind the green screen behind us is a series of 3D printers.
So I have a question about, you know a little bit more, but has he been open about how it was trained?
It's trained on Twitter. It's trained on all the images people post on Twitter and the language on Twitter, and it's using it as effectively like how people talk on Twitter is how it's designed.
Gotcha. So one of the things that goes into the idea of making it, I guess, less expensive to train is the fact that it's a smaller group of people to train it on. And those people, because of Twitter's algorithms and because of the bots on and all that stuff, there's sort of like a focus group of people or a sub group of people already there. So it really doesn't have to explore the rest of humanity. It can just stay there, right? So that makes it cheaper in the sense that it's a smaller group of people, but then it also can't ever show you what the other options are, if that makes any sense. So yeah, it's harder for ChatGPT to train because their world is the whole world, whereas Twitter might be, I don't know, make up a number, 10% of it.
Right.
So sure. But then now you're just in a cult with a bunch of fascists.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing about creating an AI that is designed to be a dick, is it doesn't care. It does not. Right. It is like having a poisonous snake as a pet and no terrarium. And what he's like is, yeah, I like it because it scares my guests. Yeah, but it's also going to bite you. Like, just go to bed, dummy. And that's exactly what's happened. So a lot of the pictures that you see mocking Elon Musk are made with Grok, because he has no limitations on using real people's faces. He has no limitation on the environment that they can be put in. If you want to put him in a gimp suit with a ball gag in his mouth with a giant chicken doing untoward things behind him while Donald Trump has it on a leash, you can do it with Grok. You can't do it with a bunch of the other ones. You can create one on your own, like Flux, and some of the other ones you can house on your computer. You can actually run a AI image generator on your own home computer that's trained, and then it references stuff and makes stuff. It doesn't even take up that much space. But the Grok one, all the ones that are commercially available have a lot of limitations, so you can't make this kind of stuff. Yeah. He's making the point, like, do whatever you want. Well, if literally people are paying him to make mockeries of him now, which is hilarious. I love
the picture of Trump like leaning into Elon Musk and kissing him on the lips. Like, did you see that one?
Yes, the AI.
So good.
Yeah, and the one where you see the one where he's pregnant. It's a pregnancy shot, and Trump has his arms around Elon Musk, who's pregnant.
That's awesome.
Whatever. But those are made. A lot of those are made with Elon's own AI, because in his free speech absolutist bullshit, it can be turned on you. Sorry. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I've no doubt, what he's planning on doing is he's going to allow you to make that shit. But if you try to post it on Twitter, he'll
charge you for it.
Yeah, well, or he'll shadow ban you, drop you down, or kick you in the algorithm, or whatever. Anything with his face will go through if it's an AI image of me, take it down. That kind of, for review. Sense. That guy, like, he can do that on the back end, and they can set up an AI to do that. And I got to tell you, they clearly ran his interview with Trump through an AI voice fixer.
Mean the second one.
The second one is fixed up. The fixed up one is clearly, because it's not even that they fixed all of his, his suffering thuckatash moments. There's other words that are clearer than what he actually said.
Yeah. Also, if it was a normal thing that Twitter Spaces did that to your voice, we would have seen that already. There's been all kinds of Twitter Spaces. It would have happened to Ron DeSantis, for instance.
Right.
So it defies logic.
Right. And the fact that they showed a picture of him just talking into his phone is like his iPhone didn't start adding some sort of Sylvester the cat filter on everything that he said. And here's the other thing too, and this is the part, this is where you can tell. He has side mouth flap at one point. There's the point where he's doing this kind of thing, but he does one of those like Carol Channing on the side every so often, because that's what's caused by, like, when your teeth are fucked up, or you're wearing your temporaries while they do new implants or whatever he's wearing these days. In the 10 months it takes you to get all your teeth replaced or whatever he does, that'll happen. That whole side thing is what he's doing.
So this morning I was listening to the Professional Left podcast for this weekend with Drip Class and Blue.
Right.
And I think
we love them.
Drip Class that mentioned something like why aren't the fact checks for Trump anything already in the can? Because he says the same thing every time, right? So in order to AI fix Trump's blather, it'd be pretty easy to train it, because all of it, he's got so much
same shit
on tape, if you will, and he always says the same stuff. So I guess fixing that up wouldn't be too bad.
Right. Well, here's the thing:
he deserves to have that mockery, because he's already saying that everybody else's crowd size are fake. So if he's going to mock Harris for it, then he deserves to be mocked for it himself.
I agree. Our advice to the Harris campaign, between the two of us as unpaid operatives of the Harris campaign, Harris Walls 24, is they should have AI, anytime they get an aerial shot, they should use AI, get an absolute crowd count from that AI,
Okay.
and post it online.
There you go.
For better or worse, like, this is how many were there. It was 6,512 people, whatever it is. Just post that, like, that picture online. Because whatever it is, even if it's good, even if it's 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 people, which is for a political rally that is a lot of people, it'll still be upsetting. It'll still be under his magical number of 65, 85,000, 100,000, which is just ridiculous. So, Harris Walz campaign, get on that. You're welcome.
I think you have more pull than I do.
I'll make
Half
some
the
calls.
people in the chat don't
Yeah.
know who I
I'll
am.
talk to Jamie Harrison at the Sexy Liberal Show tomorrow. He's going to join us, and I'm just going to hand him a list of suggestions for the Harris campaign that they can do using AI. And if they need a human AI liaison, that's what Hal spells. So I would gladly be the AI czar with Rob. Rob would be the equivalent of, in the movie Dave, when he calls his accountant friend who looks at the books and goes, Jesus Christ, what's going on?
Hal will be like, I just got named the Hal for
this thing.
Can you help me out?
Yeah, Rob. What the hell? Like,
what am I gonna do?
Well, and that brings us to a little bit of just the enormity and the speed by which AI is moving.
Yeah.
And I think that's what also scares people. So let me see if this screen I made works for both of us. Nope, you're not Johnny Million. It works, but you're not Johnny Million. Hold on, let me move this guy real quick. Oh, where'd it go? I'm gonna move this over here and make it go away, and then I'll add a new one in there. But that's Rob right there. So this is an article like we just had coming out, like, what's behind the AI fear mongering. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, is there a tremendous amount of fear mongering going on about it in the news? Absolutely. Yes. Is it overcautious, ignorant people? Of course it is. But there's also a lot of it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction from people.
Yeah.
It doesn't even take that much of a tip. You know what I mean? Everybody is already primed from Skynet and HAL the computer in 2001. Thanks. That we're already primed to be worried about that, right?
Yeah, but maybe it's like even worse with, effectively, we've been in a relationship with Donald Trump for 10 years. And that guy's just been spewing garbage. Like, it's almost as if people are on the edge because they're worried that AI could be used to further that stuff that they've been hearing all this time.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point.
I hope maybe that's what hope the article didn't say that.
Well, I don't know, because we're going to look through this. So this is he and I haven't had a chance to look at this article, and that's kind of the point. Is that this is what's the causes of AI fear mongering? The first one is lack of understanding. I think we would both agree that
yes.
And that's not. And I don't know how you even saw that, because most of the people working on the design don't fully understand how it internally works anyway. So there's a lack of understanding by the scientists that work on it, much less the public. So of course that's scary.
Yeah.
That's nerve-wracking.
It's like a lot of other things that are very difficult to explain.
Yes.
Anything these days that takes more than maybe 3 sentences to explain, you've lost 90% of the people listening to
That's
it.
right.
So.
Yeah. So and on top of that, it's moving so fast that by the time you catch up to I get how this system works. I was looking at one of those things, like how to replace your face in pictures and that kind of stuff, and AI for that. So for thumbnails or graphics that I'm going to work on. And I've been playing around with that 2025 series, which I'm starting next week. I'm messing around with a little bit of kind of that auto-gen lie detector stuff and a little bit of imaging just for fun. And in doing that, there was a system to do that, which was 9 steps. Then went to 3 steps in a matter of 2 days.
Right.
And now there's several websites that do it automatically.
Right. It's kind of like in Photoshop, there's all these tools, and Photoshop basically does the manipulation of pixels, but then people wanted to more easily select or more easily copy paste. And so just a stack up of tools that made it easier to do the very thing that people wanted to do, correct red eye back in the day. Or
oh my God, that used to be, so if you had headshots as an actor.
Yeah.
One of the things is, once they were in color, one of the things you had to fix all the time was that you had to get somebody to come in with a black marker and literally black marker out the red eye
Right.
in it before they made a print of your headshot, whatever. And that cost you, I don't know, $35. They would go, we'll remove red eye for $35, which was a Sharpie. Fucker had a Sharpie.
So going from remove the red eye automatically to change the color of someone's eyes automatically to change their whole face to like a dog face in Snapchat. Like, it's just an extension of the same concept.
Right. You're just
So AI is doing sort of the same thing. They're like, draw a circle around
AI Hal voice for president. I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Draw a circle around a head in the picture. Show us a picture of your face. We'll basically like only concentrate the AI on that circle.
That's right.
And that's how it works.
So the other one it says is media sensationalism. I would agree with that, although again, let's see, sometimes the news exaggerates or clickify headlines. Do you think? That's adorable. For example, emails hurt IQ more than pot was the headline of a story published in 2005 by CNN. Numerous instances of sensationalism. Let's see, are you losing your memory thanks to the internet? 2018 headline reads, Stephen Hawking's final warning to humanity, AI is coming for us. Yeah.
Well, if Stephen Hawking says so.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody who flew with Jeffrey Epstein, we should just take anything they say sight unseen. Just absolutely. But that said, yes, there's clearly an automatic, like, and again, I don't even think they have to try very hard. It's scary to start with.
For the headlines to work.
Hello, CNN and MSNBC, says Mark Kremer. Exactly.
I mean, it didn't have to work hard because people are already primed, again, by this extreme version of republicanism. I mean, I always go back to that because every single day, all of us have seen something Trump said or many things Trump said in our phone feed probably for 10 years now.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
Right.
Just insane. So we're already primed for this, and that idea of like, you better hurry up and do this thing I want you to do or else you're going to die or the world's going to end. Or it's that sensational, I guess you would say, but it's sensational in the negative. So yeah, I mean, of course, if you're worried that the world's going to end because of this, then you're also going to be worried because of this new thing that you don't understand.
Yeah, one of the irony is that AI is creating, like, we talk about this on the side, that while everybody's worried about, they make a video that makes it look like, I don't know, Kamala Harris was sitting in on Charles Manson's parole hearing and saying, I want to give him a hug. And then a picture of her hugging Charles Manson and going, we should set him free. Like that kind of, yes, is that possible? Yes, but we are getting primed now as a public to just write that shit off. Right. Even if it was real, it would take weeks for it to gin up. Whereas in the old days, one single still image, black and white, poorly done online or on a newspaper, could change the tide of a thing. So Trump is, again, his own worst enemy, and that he's created this enormous feed of bullshit. Yeah. That it like at one point everybody's just like, screw it. The other side of it, though, is that while all that's happening, in reality, AI is helping in a scientific level that is off the charts. And one of them is creating proteins that will create non-vaccine disease cures for almost everything in a very short order. There's going to be a jut forward in the next, I would say 10 years, but it could be 5, it could be 2, because we don't know when that next big shock point is. Right. Where they're literally going, you would go into a clinic, they'll draw your blood, you have this disease, we will take with your DNA and the drug and the DNA of the actual strain in your body, we will send this in and it will wipe out only that. Yeah. I
mean, that was the con of, is it Theros or Thoros?
Theranos?
Theranos? I can't remember.
The blood, the blood testing stuff that woman had.
Get everything you knew from a drop of blood. And why that worked was because we're on the precipice of that working. Mm-hmm. Why her con worked.
Yeah, because she was able to bullshit people because it looked plausible, right? Yeah. Yes, cancer too. That's why Biden just dumped a bunch of money into his cancer moonshot. that just 56 Nick Rich just said that in the chat room a moment ago. So yes, cancer's actually easier than the viral stuff, because cancer's very specifically got its own DNA strain that's separate, that's mutated off of yours and different. So it will be easier to track that. Right now, we kind of do a scorched earth thing. We kind of recreate the human fever in most medicines, which is, raise the boiling level till it dies and hope you don't die before it does. That's effectively what we do. We poison you to a certain degree, and it works. It's a great idea. It's how the body works most of the time.
Yeah.
But in this case, it will be, and white blood cells will recognize a cell that shouldn't be there, effectively creating an AI-designed white blood cell that just kind of probes your system and takes out anything that shouldn't be there. And only that thing, nothing else, is going to change how we do medicine. And that wouldn't be possible with AI. It would be, but you would need like an army of 150,000 Nobel laureates working 24/7, never sleeping.
It would just take longer to connect the dots.
And decades. If they did, they could also miss it in a way that AI doesn't have to.
Yeah. Or I was seeing questions, but it wasn't there. This is interesting. This Crispy says people don't care where the creativity they consume comes from. They don't even think about it. I saw the word creativity in that, which is why I stopped there. Because I think it's important to think of AI as a new tool, and the creativity is actually in how you're using it. And creativity has always shifted as technology changes, from cameras to from photo or film cameras, to digital cameras. That was a massive change in the way people started looking at photography, for instance, or movie making. When it became easy enough to make a movie with your iPhone, it completely changes what the creativity is of that. So I'm really sensitive to the idea of people thinking
this is not creative, right? I don't think that's what they meant, but yes,
right. But it spurred in me that concept, and being two creative people here, it's not killing creativity. It's just another tool to use, and the outcome will change because the tool you're using is changing.
Well, I would also look at it, and by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide. This is Friday AI. Rob and I talk about this usually from a distance, and so pardon us while we nerd out extra hard right before the DNC and all that kind of stuff. And I will be doing my regular show later on this afternoon from using Rob's studio because he's being very nice and his internet is very good.
I'll be quiet off to the side.
He's going to be like Tom when I did Talk Soup, just going to trying not to laugh or going, yeah, right. Anyways.
But it'll be 30 seconds back.
Think behind. Of it. Well, we talk about how prompting is now its own art form in a lot of ways, and that will become even, as you're being more specific and more creative, you're going to have these full-on conversations with the computer in the same way that you would normally use a mouse. There's going to be no, I need more curvature of the cheeks. It's almost like you're talking to a police sketch artist. You know what I mean? They're doing the drawing, but you're the one describing what you saw and what you need to see in your mind's eye. So on top of that, I guess the best parallel is pigment in paint. So initially, cave drawings, people just took, the wall of the wall of the cave is dark brown, but if this red clay over here and this yellow clay maintain their color. So if I take them and I can make contrasting lines, and if I make a drawing on here, you'll be able to see it against the color of the cave wall, because what the stuff I'm using to draw is darker or lighter than what it is, so it stands out. Then over time we started creating these separate pigments. Blue apparently was very difficult for a very long time. The color blue is a pain in the ass pigment wise, but they managed to do it. And then we start mixing these things together over time, right? And creating, and so you had to go, I need a little bit, you've got all these colors on here, and you got a little bit of red and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm mixing these colors together, and the painter's palette, that Da Vinci had and all those guys, where he made a hole in it so he could have his thumb there so he could mix these colors and not have to get up and walk over. AI prompts are a lot like that, in that you're mixing. I want a little bit of this, and there's this, and then I need a little bit more of this, and you're kind of, and that's a mixing paint to create a pigment, a color, is an art form in and of itself, even for painters.
Right. Yeah. So if you want to make a picture look like you want it to make, the way that has to happen is you have to be able to explain the nuance of that picture, which is it's an art. It's an art in and of itself, and you already have to have maybe a knowledge base of, in this case, this part that people don't like, but you need an artist's name or a style name. And so if you want to manipulate that stuff, you actually have to be really knowledgeable about art history, about current types, current artists and current styles and things like that. And that's how you would manipulate it, as opposed to somebody just saying, I want a picture of a duck next to a lake, and you don't know what style it's going to give you. It just gives you a style, and who knows what it is. I don't know if you've seen this, you might want to bring it up, but it's MIT, how people are actually using AI.
Yeah,
here's how people are actually using AI.
Hold on one second, let me bring it back to us, and then I'll, when
we get to that, it's interesting because they're talking about not so much what they're doing with it, but the relationship they're having with it, which makes a lot of sense.
Right. Here's how people are actually using AI. So I by the way, I am a huge fan of the MIT review, technology review about this, because they've really been on top of this stuff in the last little bit. I like how we roll in from the side. It's nice.
That's awesome.
It's cool.
I like how also their example in that picture is got like emu. Or
yes,
right.
Hair, yes, has this.
Of course,
right.
Of course, it's.
Well, it's what it reminds me of. It reminds. Never mind the kiss thing on the thing. I get what they're doing, but is that dude wearing the lipstick? Did he try to kiss his own phone? It's a little confusing. I get it, but that's basically the hair from the girl in Blade Runner 2049, or whatever it was. That's what her hair looks like. Just saying. I'm fairly certain that's where they garnered it from.
So it gets into like have people become more productive using it. And basically they're saying it hasn't, but that people are starting to start to form relationships with them. And that's really kind of where, if you think about it, that's where creativity many times comes from, is us sitting in the same room, two completely different perspectives and life history, and then we talk about the same thing, and then all of a sudden we're coming up with new things because they're a combination of our experiences. That is creativity. Famously, Silicon Valley was like, supposedly everybody met at coffee shops, so that's why it became what it was.
A coffee culture, right?
Yeah, or they were open to communicating about things that everybody else thought were secret, right? So in effect, like, it is working the way we work.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that is part of what makes it so scary, because it's starting to get really close to what people think of when they think of...
Well, of collaboration.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I've said this for a long time. We talked about this back in the 90s, was high tech, high touch. There was this thing about, psychologically, people who work with computers need more hugs than people who don't. Because, and I would sit, when I was editing my, I had a sketch comedy group called Here Comes the Neighborhood back in the 90s that we would perform at the Ice House. I realized after a while that all the effort we put into these live shows, we could film a pilot if we just started shooting sketches.
Oh, cool.
So I started editing these things on a Media 100 system, and which I burned the logic board on 2, of these Mac towers that we had, trying to edit more than 3 minutes of video back in the day. Just,
of course. If it can do 2, try 3.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, that's why I was thanked in the Adobe Premiere manual, because they were like, I called them up, I'm like, I'm at 3:15 and I just can't break that. Or I was at 4 minutes. I'm like, I need 5 minutes. I'm trying to do it 5 minutes. I'm at 4:25, and
see, people are saying I'm quiet and you're loud.
Oh, I think that's just our speaking voices.
Yeah, I'm a little quieter speaker. Maybe I could start yelling more.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a factor. And I don't know that we can. Do I have a way to separate the audio left and right? That may be for. You know what, I'm going to talk.
Well, now we're getting.
Now I'm going to talk quieter. I'm just going to.
Don't do that.
No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my.
Your NPR voice?
Yeah, my NPR voice. Hey, thanks for joining us today. A bike ride around Lake Michigan, is that even possible on the schedule of a modern person? We think so. And there's a lot of health benefits to getting out on your bike on the regular, but cars are a problem. Just ask that person who knew too much about the Trump situation who was hit by a car perpendicular to the drive. So honestly, that's what it is. I just have a very loud voice. Apologies. And I get very excited. So when I get excited, I talk louder.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. So
I haven't seen any questions come through.
No, we'll see some.
Maybe I told Andrea not to send them to me, send them to the staff chat. So maybe that's why we're not seeing them.
Gotcha. Okay. House speaks to the back of 20,000 seat arenas. Well, by Trump numbers, 200,000. Oh. Thank you. Always.
The kidney says you won't last long at this time. They know you quite well.
I think. All right. It's true. All right. So, wait. Hey, ChatGPT, create a softer version of my voice. Use the audio feed that's going in here. Yeah, eventually we'll be able to do that. It'll modulate.
Right. Sorry, I'm getting us off track.
Yeah, it's okay. So the relationship part of it. So
yes.
that I think is also the part that people are nervous about. So total confession about AI and my relationship with it.
Okay.
Is I am trying to raise my intimacy level with the AI in my life.
Okay.
And I genuinely mean that. In that there are all these tools available. You can talk to them and they will talk back. They provide you with a lot of stuff. But there are, on the ones that are the most fluid, that talk the best, like Pi and Claude and one of the others, even ChatGPT in this form.
Sure.
It can still make mistakes and be wrong about stuff. So if I'm doing any research, I'm just going to sit there and read. I'm just going to do it myself. I'm not going to ask it to talk to me.
Okay.
I don't use, there are a lot of technology things that are available that I just don't use. One of them is speak the text of this article.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
I'm the same way. Mm-hmm. I'm probably as high tech as anybody can get, but there's a lot of stuff I don't use at all.
Yeah. And I know, it almost haunts me that I'm like, I know it would be easier somehow. If I could work it in there. And if I was one of those people one of those fucking Pier 1 catalog people where you get up every morning and I do 8 minutes of yoga as soon as I get out of bed, and then I have a nutritious snack, but not a full breakfast, and then I save my coffee until after 9:35 because I read an article in Health Enforcer that said that's the best time to get fiber moving through your system. And then then I take my dog for a walk and cuddle, and then I say affirmative things to all my plants. And then
there you go.
and then I hit the treadmill. And while I'm on the treadmill, I listen to self-help books at three times speed. So I'm absorbing 4 times the number of chapters I normally would in these situations while listening to relaxing music, because I notice the tone of the music. So it takes away the anxiety of hearing someone yelling at me so fast in the voice of Tony Robbins. And then, like those people, fuck those people. And I want to be one so bad. You know what I mean? But I'm not. And I just realized that in the whole, all kidding aside, I do have a treadmill that I use. And it's a walking treadmill though. It's not because in Vegas it's far too fucking hot to go for a walk. Yeah. So 20-minute walks are a good idea. So I got a treadmill, and it's just a walking treadmill, and it's in front of the TV downstairs, and I will watch the news while I do it. Cool. So that's the closest I've taken steps to do this. But I have this feeling that there will be, in the not too far future, and maybe it's already here and I just don't trust it yet, where I could just turn it on and wake up in the morning, kind of like Siri or Alexa or something like that, and go, hey, ChatGPT, give me the rundown of the 5 news stories I need to know this morning for my show later on this afternoon. And, and it'll go, sure thing, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll roll my, like, hold on, stop that. Run back and play the part about that. Give me where'd you get that from? And then it'll say it. And then I'll go, that sounds like crap to me. Read the article out loud that you said it from. And I'm getting a call, of course, because that's what happens in the middle of a live show. Though, you know what I mean? Like, we're that close. And, my favorite movie is Blade Runner for a lot of reasons. But one of the biggest reasons, I think, is, hold on, I'm turning on, there's the, turn on Do Not Disturb. It should be a good idea. Focus, I'm working. Do not disturb. Okay, there we go. So,
so the personality part that you started with, are you saying you're trying to get this?
I like
trying to explore getting that feedback with more personality?
No, the ones that have personality, they're best to talk to, that actually sound like a real person, where you could feel like you're conversing.
You enjoy talking to those more than just another normal one, you're saying?
Right. Well, like Perplexity is great for research and stuff, but it doesn't do a voice yet.
Okay.
And if you could go, if you could ask Pi in that voice to go, hey, check Perplexity about this and read to me what it says, and it goes, yeah, I talked to Perplexity and it says that. So it's almost like a little AI agent team that you have.
Yeah.
That while you're doing other stuff, while I'm folding laundry and while I'm doing that, while my hands are indisposed, right?
Yeah. Can it give you the information you need while that's happening? Is what
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And still be conversational. There seems to be a split between the really conversational ones that fuck up a lot and the ones that are really useful, but that are basically like reading a book. And I can already read a book. Thank you very much.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know if you can give, like ChatGPT 4.0 has voices, right?
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if
I don't like any of the voices it has. Because they lost the Scarlett Johansson voice, which sounded like the most pleasant one to talk to, right?
Yeah.
Andrea, is there an AI translator for Trump speak?
I'm positive somebody.
Yeah, you trying to put me out of a job?
Like, you could just.
Are you trying to get rid of my?
It out there. You could just say, ask a question of ChatGPT and say, give me the answer in the form of Trump. And I'm sure it would work.
Well, I have thought a couple times, because there's a couple of AI voice generators. There's, and I've played it before, but there was that one that there's like a channel that's 24/7 of AI, Obama, Biden, and Trump playing Minecraft.
Okay.
And it's and then there's a couple of like permanent AI arguments. It's like Einstein versus Copernicus or something like that, and they're programmed. Each one is programmed with what they believe, and then they just fight it out.
Okay.
They just argue all the time. It's like a debate between them. And if I suppose, I don't know, I should open up are you opening up ChatGPT right now to see if it'll?
I wanted to see. I asked Nick Rich's 56 Nick's Rich question. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Pastor Bo Daster. I asked the question that he asked, I think it's a he.
Yes.
And asked it to give me the answer in Trump speak.
Oh, that's nuts.
Okay. Let me tell you, folks.
There's
no one better than me at speaking like Trump. Believe me, people everywhere are saying it. We're talking huge, tremendous answers, the best answers. You've got a lot of people out there trying to do it, but they just can't get it right. Sad. But I'm here, and I'm going to make their questions great again. The best questions, the best answers. You'll be so impressed, believe me.
Yeah.
I'm not a Trump impersonator, but that's a pretty good answer.
That's pretty dead on. That was ChatGPT talking like Trump. Now, it's not vocally doing it, that's just print. But if you took that over to 11 Labs or one of the vocal replacers, and it swapped it out, or just make it write me a monologue in Trump speak where he's completely confused but trying to pretend he knows everything about whatever how a Mars bar is made in the factory, right? How bubble gum is made. Remember how bubble gum is made? That was one of my favorite things on like the electric company or whatever. Imagine It's gum, people love gum. They're gumming, and you have gums already, so why are you chewing? You can't chew your own gums because your teeth are in the way, folks. I mean, I know more about this than the dentists do, right? Like that, it's that kind of thing. And you could absolutely make it do that. Now, I think in this...
Are you going to pie it up here?
No. Hey, ChatGPT, what voices do you have right now?
Will they hear that?
Right now I'm here to chat, answer questions, help with ideas, or even generate images if you're in the mood for some visual creativity. What's on your mind?
I need a picture of a golf club made out of Cheetos. And that part.
Are they able to hear that?
I think so.
Oh,
Here's the picture of a golf club made entirely out of Cheetos. Let me know if you need anything else, or if you want to try something different. You can check out the images in our conversation history.
There we go. Yep, and this is what this is what it made. I'll show it to the camera. There it is. It looks like it's made. I got to say, it looks like spaghetti, but I get what they're doing. Like, it wasn't that bad. It's not that bad. It looks, by the way, it looks like a primitive weapon from, the Mesozoic era.
Yeah.
Right.
When you hit someone on the head, it just breaks.
Yeah, it just falls apart. And I have to say, like, it like, that's Cheetos. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good.
There you go. 56 Nick Rich this time says, will AI make more mega millionaires? We'll make, the economy will make mega millionaires. And AI is more of a
the conservative estimate I have seen, and because I dove into this because of Trump saying we're headed into a depression, and the depression is a depression, right? How much will AI add to the U.S. economy in the next year? And the conservative amount that I've seen is $15 trillion.
Okay.
In 10 years.
Did they talk about where it was coming from?
Yeah, a couple of areas.
Okay.
Obviously, in tech and automation, will create more products at a cheaper rate, and safer, cleaner, blah blah blah. Without with fewer people losing their hands in presses and that kind of stuff is an enormous reason why production is as slow as it is. Again, all technology is a controlled explosion. It's just a matter of how controlled. And the more people in the line, the more controlled it has to be. The other is healthcare, because
that's interesting.
As you cure diseases, you get rid of all the costs for treatment and all that stuff, and that money goes elsewhere, because It's not a zero-sum game. That money doesn't just vanish. It's that you don't have an allocated amount of your money in your life that goes just to your healthcare. If you have to spend less on healthcare, it goes other places, and people invest in other things, and it grows on top of that. The other thing is that, and this is where I think you and I agree, that the fear-mongering about people losing their jobs to AI is, the reality is that it's going to just 5x productivity of everybody. Right. That you'll have a sidecar or a AI assistant that that works with you, and again, you don't have to talk to legal to figure out if something that you're proposing is legal and wait for a response to move to the next level on it. You can go, hey, can we do this? Is this legal? And they'll go, yeah, under our current bylaws, we're allowed to do this, or whatever, or we would need this change of bylaws, and it would take step 1, step 2, step 3. You're gonna have to clear that with this person, this person, this person. Then you go, okay, cool, email them and see if we can clear those things in the next 7 days. If not, the project won't be valuable, and blah, blah, blah. And then it'll just go off. And then their AIs in each of the departments will go, yeah, we can definitely do that and get that signed off on by the end of the day, or we can't, and this is why. And then it will just, and then you could also go, all right, we can't do that. Give me 5 fixes that would solve the same problem I'm doing that I'm not thinking of, because that are available to us, that don't violate our company's policy towards this, or our fiduciary duties to our clients, or whatever it is. That's something.
Productivity
exactly.
Increases, yeah.
And that alone, again, it gives you 5 employees for the price of 1 is essentially what's going to happen.
It's interesting to think about the healthcare side.
Yes.
Just that's where that runaway gas stove things came from. Really, regulating gas stoves was actually a way to decrease the cost of
long-term
asthma.
healthcare, right?
Yeah, it was a healthcare initiative. But yeah, if you're one, not spending money to stay healthy, and two, you're healthy, so now you can do stuff while you're healthy.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like you're saving and making, so it's like a double effect. Right?
That's why, that's one of the big parts of it came up, and this was, I'd been talking about this during COVID, was like, we patched all the people who are saying we have monetary inflation are full of shit. We absolutely do not, because you can't patch a $21 trillion hole with $9 trillion or $6 trillion. You just can't do it. And a lot of the loss of money that happened during COVID was not just businesses shut down, but dead people who had businesses that evaporated. All their employees are now not working for anybody, especially older people who were investors or had companies and the like, and the family members that they have weren't carrying forward what their investments were and all that kind of shit, just wanted to carve up the thing and keep the money for themselves or whatever. Oh, Phil, is Phil?
Is Phil going to be here?
I don't know. That's Andrea. I don't know. Like, I can't remember if we had Phil scheduled for today. If so, he'll need I'll need to give him a different interview link. That'll be the case. Hold on, we will find that out in just a moment. So you can let us know in the staff chat.
Well, this isn't the staff, but she's
gotcha.
She's talking to me in
Excellent.
In my
See,
chat.
look at that. So I don't even know what to do.
I'm just like automatically become your producer.
I know, it's great. I'm like, it's so nice to not have to sweat it in that regard. Just be focused on the conversation. But there were a bunch of people that died.
Yeah.
Their productivity, the productivity of that human being, their ideas, everything that they would have invented in their life, the ongoing business would have, the people they employed, all that gone. And some of it will come back because their kids will pick up the business and whatever, but it was on a lag of like 3 years. That cost that family and everybody around them, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in productivity, money, and that kind of stuff for the entire, extrapolated across the breadth of the business, whatever it was, restaurants, and people have rental properties and people weren't leaving or whatever, the eviction moratorium, all kinds of stuff that was just like affecting people in minute ways that stack over time. I mean, the U.S. economy is $26 trillion a year.
Yeah.
Like that, and so adding 15 trillion to it again over 10 years is conservative, because we add almost 10 a decade at this point. We only slowed down. We would have been at 30 if it wasn't for Trump.
Yeah. Well, in theory, things were offshored to make things cheaper, but they were made cheaper because the labor was cheaper. That was the only difference.
Right.
And a lot of the other benefits of going, let's say, to China was that China was subsidizing the capital side of that equation. So things like tooling or raw materials, they were basically like free to those companies who were making the factories, I mean. So then that factory, now they did have to ship, so there was that. And there was a lag in time from when it left port to when it started getting made to when it got to your shelf, basically. So there was the supply chain disruption in just-in-time manufacturing, but AI in theory should be able to allow for reshoring, and a lot of that extra productivity keeps the prices the same or slightly elevated because of how it works. But you would think that all the products that we currently offshore, they should be able to be made here.
Right.
Think about what that would include or would add to the economy. It's insane.
Well, yeah, and there, there's also one hidden reason why we don't make some things here is because of toxicity. Is because there's a lot of toxic aspects of plastics and other chemicals that are used in the processing of things, and so a lot of third world or second world even countries, they have looser rules about that shit, and so they let it happen. China being particularly pernicious about this, that if you want to make something that's toxic to make, maybe not toxic later, but the process to create it is pretty awful, that's where you do it. and because they're not going to care. We're going to care. We're going to set those limitations. Those are those regulations that Trump is always decrying. Trump is always bitching about the fact that we have regulations. It's also why we don't have the cancer rates and the death rates that China has. And they just do not care. They don't care. The CCP does not care about what happens to the individual Chinese people at all, because there's already going to be more of them. Are you popping into
Well, I just realized that I can just pop into the Video Ninja, and if he's there, then we'll know. Right?
Yes.
Because he would be in the same way
Yes, he would
as
pop.
I would have been, or normally am.
Yes, you would see him if he shows up in there.
Sorry,
That's true.
behind the scenes.
No, it's good. I appreciate it. In this case, he would do we would have him in the interview on this thing though, so it would be a different link. So I will say, yeah.
Okay, it would have to be your link.
That's right.
Okay.
But either way, he might pop in there anyways. But I will give him that link over here, which is interviews.
She says no answer from.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, God knows there's so much going on right now, and he's going to be on the radio with us tomorrow, so it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, are they reporting still 1,000 square kilometers, or has it gotten bigger than that?
2,000.
2,000.
2,000 square
Really?
kilometers. Yeah.
Holy cow.
In Ukraine or in Russia.
Yeah.
That Ukraine has taken. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yes, it is. There you go. For today or tomorrow. That's his, Andrea, that'll be his link, because I'll use this for both days.
All right, we got that settled.
Nice. Little behind the scenes, little production in front, but that's, I mean, so minor compared to what we're used to, kids. That said, where were we in this?
I don't know where we were.
We were on MIT was where we were. Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the basics of that article is that maybe more than expected, people are building relationships with AI, which does make a lot of sense. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that that's very scary. I mean, you have relationships with, in a weird way, with like news people that you listen to the news with, or you hear on the radio. It used to be.
And you don't actually. Look, here's okay.
You do,
it is less weird. It is less weird to yell at your car as it's starting than it is to think that the news lady that you watch every morning kind of understands you, because she's a real person, and that's fucking creepy, right? There's something a little safer, I would argue, to just going. Like grabbing the remote and going "fuck you" to the when you're using the television, than it is to be going "you shut up, lady" at an actual human being far away in a room.
I mean, people do have relationships with their cars themselves.
Yeah, well, they used to.
So they take on personality.
You know, my theory is, and this might be related to this, is that relationships with your car has dropped off precipitously.
Okay.
Why is that? Because your car won't kill you
break,
anymore.
Well, they also don't break down.
That's right.
They always work.
So you used to pray to the gods of "don't kill me."
Yeah.
You know, and so you'd polish it with a rag and go, "Come on, baby," you know, like that kind of, or you'd keep it well timed and stuff, because you could be impaled on the steering column pretty easily in a junker old 40s or 50s vehicle.
Yeah,
and those are the people who talk to their vehicles. And if you don't believe me, look at how people talk to their motorcycles, because a motorcycle, no matter how new it is, can still fucking kill you. And so people treat their motorcycles the way you treat a car from the 40s and 50s, because there's no seat belts, there's no airbags, there's no, you're just done, right? There's no way, right? So people are superstitious about things the more out of their hands they seem to be. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are more superstitious and kind of personally attached to their technology in some ways, because like, come on, with your computer or something, you get a more, you almost feel like you're like, all right, just work this one time, click, it works. I will tell you that hotel remote controls are one of the banes of my existence, because they're so terrible, and especially that one generic one that has the kind of rubbery buttons that they sold on everybody, like, these will be easier to clean. Your guests are fucking disgusting, and they absolutely are. But they have these spongy buttons that never work,
Yeah.
And you're just like, I just want to change the channel. I want to go up one channel and down one channel. You son of a bitch! And I'm like talking to a remote, and that. You don't talk to the one that works.
Right. Yeah. So the maybe the things that it doesn't do well are the things that give it personality.
Yeah.
Right?
The better stuff gets, the less interaction, which is weird with the AI conversation
Right.
stuff because
What gives it personality is when it gives you the picture exactly like you want, but its hands are all mangled.
Right, yeah.
So you're like, that's funny, yeah.
yeah. So you were looking at
I was just looking at TechCrunch to see what the
that
AI's
AI you were. I just noticed you scroll by the.
Which one?
Keep going. There's one about Grok, basically.
There was a Grok 2
Black.
up here.
The
I saw it.
scroll down though, because there was one about his image generation thing. There it is. Meet Black Forest Labs, a startup powering his image generation. Right.
Yeah, I can't share my screen.
No, that's okay. I can find it in here. But the point is that again, his whole thing about Grok is that it and Flux One is the one you can download and put on.
So he calls it an anti-woke chatbot, which is like the original definition of woke was that you realized that more things were involved in the things that made choices for it, or the aspects of your life, like you getting a job, you getting a mortgage, there were other things than just you getting a mortgage.
Right.
And now your eyes are open to the idea that there's more at play than and those things at play are like race and
the world around you is peppered with a lot of things that are either benefiting you or in some cases negative against you that you weren't aware of because you were kind of myopically just dealing with the first problem in front of you and then the one after that.
If you're anti-woke, that means you're not open to the possibility that
you're
there's
less
other
open.
possibilities.
Yes, right. It's got blinders on it.
Yeah, I've never read that before. I didn't know he called it.
Yeah. And what he means is it's just a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so the Grok one. See, he tries to make these cool pictures, or
Trump smoking a cigarette backwards.
Well, can you make it was basically somebody asked it to make a picture of Trump smoking a joint on the Joe Rogan show.
Oh, but it looks like
the joint
the burnt end
is the wrong direction
pointing into his mouth. Yeah,
and
sorry, this is not on the
and
screen.
It looks like, by the way, he's on the set of CNN. There's monitors in the background because Joe Rogan is always calling for the monitor, right? He's always asking for that.
Yeah, I mean these people deserve all the trolling that they're going to get.
Exactly.
And when they're complaining about how they got trolled, it's like, hello, 10 years, the last 10 years you've been trolling us every day.
That's right. Well, and again, it is a double-edged sword. That is just the reality of it. That all of this technology, you build a technology that just doesn't give a shit, well, it doesn't give a shit about you either.
Yeah.
And if you've got kids in this world, and you've got a family, and you've got this is so they call it a lack of safeguards, or when you focus on the idea of free speech, I can say anything I want, but you're not though. You're in order to do the things that they're doing, you need to actually focus the learning model more, not less. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah.
So it's like the reverse of open. It's actually closed. It'd be like China's ChatGPT versus the US's.
Right.
In order to get it to do the things, you actually have to focus it more, not less.
Mm-hmm. I just tried to ask Grok a question specifically at Grok, what can you do, to see if it answers me in that direction. Now, I don't think I'm signed up for use of Grok. Maybe I have to go in here. That's what it is. Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. So this is stupid. Delete that post. Sorry. Nobody needs that. So if I go to Grok and I go, let's say Grok, let's see, give me an image of Donald Trump in a giant walrus costume with Elon Musk holding a leash and training him like a show at SeaWorld. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. World. Here we go. I don't know if it'll work. Let's see. For accurate, up to date.
It's making something.
It's making something.
Can you put that on your screen?
Yeah. So this is it kind of made a walrus costume with like Trump hair.
A tie, yeah,
and Trump hair.
Hair and a tie. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, and I gotta say, the picture of him, it's like the distance of it looks pretty realistic. It looks like a photo, you know, of a guy actually, you know, wearing a big furry costume, a legit one. The Trump hair on top is hilarious, and it's yelling. I can't see what's like kind of the red tie is hilarious, and it's got very clothy claws on there. And this looks like a kind of awkward shot of Elon Musk just standing there like a dickhead.
We need to get it with the walrus holding the leash on.
Right.
And it's on Musk.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Midas Lisa. AI makes terrible hands, I've noticed. Yeah. AI.
Yeah.
Hands are the hardest thing for AI to handle, and also like arms. So arms will end up like in weird positions, and sometimes you'll find there's 3 hands in there, or 3 arms, or 2 arms and 1 hand. It's pretty bad at that stuff. But it's getting a lot better. Oh, it should have smaller hands.
Yeah.
And Pabazan said.
Right. I'm just pushing the limits of what this thing can do to just see if it'll.
It's anti-woke, so you should be able to do anything you want, right?
I don't. Okay. Well, yeah. Here you go. Here's Donald Trump and.
I didn't notice the circles rolled in. That was cool.
Yeah. See, I got a little animation on there. It's
I'm
nice.
getting dizzy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Here's Trump and Elon Musk in leather suits in a pride parade, and I don't know why Elon Musk has giant lifts on his heels. That's pretty hilarious. Apparently they are married though.
It's pretty good at the faces.
It's pretty good.
I mean, that doesn't really look like Musk's face, but it looks like Trump's pretty good.
Yeah, Trump looks like he's confused that Elon Musk is lighter than he thought he would be. I love that they're in leather suits.
Richard Starr said it's so anti-woke that it's woke again. Yeah, that's kind of. I was struggling to try to explain my thought there, but yeah. That's the thing is.
Yeah.
Long, yeah, it got the longer tie.
On the walrus.
On the walrus. You mentioned that in the chat.
Right. So again, this is one of those situations where Musk has created his own Frankenstein monster.
Yes.
He would be better off, I think, calling it like XFM, you know,
Yeah.
X is Frankenstein's monster, you know, because that's what it is. Like that, you'll be able to make, you know, I don't know what the limits are. It's the okay, fun. What is this? This is it's in fun mode. Fast and capable. Let's turn off fun mode. See what it says. This is Grok 2 Mini. Oh, this is Grok 2.
Well, the other one was Grok 2, wasn't it? I missed that. Wasn't the other one Grok 2 as well?
Yeah, but this is Grok 2 Mini Fun Mode. I'm just saying that they're rolling out Grok 2 at a slower level, bit by bit. But this is Elon Musk's. Let's see what it says about headlines. Tell me today's headlines. So this would be. All right, political. Donald Trump has been vocally accusing Google and Vice President Kamala Harris of media manipulation, highlighting ongoing political tensions in the U.S. This reflects a contentious relationship between tech giants and political figures.
He wouldn't say Donald Trump has been having unhinged press conferences that everybody pays attention to. And
Thailand's parliament elected Paetongtarn Shinawatra, making her the country's youngest prime minister. This event makes a significant political shift. In India, there's a call for. Okay, by the way, there's tons of India stuff because Twitter is huge in India, and because of the volume of people, not because of the volume of users. So if you notice, you'll always find a lot of Indian stuff in your feed, and it's because that's where that's the other thing. That's where all the fucking farms are. So even their user base in India is fucking fake, but the algorithm doesn't know this. So it is trained to believe that all those fake Indian accounts are real. So it thinks of the, whatever the real 200 million or 100 million people that are probably less than that, probably about 80 million people in India are actually using it, that number is like 600 million because of the number of farms creating false users and false user accounts and interaction and new accounts. And they do this thing where they create these bot farms and they go online for a short time and then they drop out to make them look like new users that just decided not to use it, and then, and then they wave back in to create this.
And those farms are hired with a specific, they're paid to further a specific message or a specific amount of hits on certain websites or user-based things. So those are already focused on messages which are manipulated.
Food inflation.
This is in Nigeria.
Nigeria has reduced to 39.5%.
It's reduced
due to the harvest. Yes, reduced to 39.5% because of the harvest season, providing some relief in the cost of living.
What was ours? 2.9 this last time around?
Yes. Ask Grok. Tell me about food inflation. Nigeria reduced has recently decreased to 39.5, largely due to the harvest season, which has brought some relief to the cost of living by making items more affordable. Under Tributu, inflation rate moved from 22 to 41. Yesterday recorded a decrease from 40 to 39.9. That's the step in the right direction. What? And it's going based on these rando. It was literally at a high of, Why wouldn't you go with this? Inflation rate drops to 33.3%. Jesus Christ.
So in this list that you had there, the only thing that was domestic, go back up to the original, did you turn it off now?
Yeah, no, I can do that here.
So if I'm remembering right, only the first one was domestic? Or the first two?
The first two, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, why wouldn't it be all domestic to you? Wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah, or today's headlines or whatever, in the United States, yeah.
Sorry, I haven't been paying attention to Andrea.
Okay.
Right said Rob. Again, I love your name.
Yeah.
The problem is, as profits continue to rise, it rarely significantly drips down to workers. How do you see AI actually benefiting workers and not hurting them? Also, do you think this will press honest discussion on the subject of UBI?
A couple things. One of the biggest things about UBI that I've been talking about for a long time is that UBI is useless unless you have price controls in place beforehand. So you'll notice a little bit of a trend towards that in what Kamala Harris said about rising rents and what the Obama administration was pushing. The Biden administration was pushing after the Obama administration had laid the groundwork for limits on how fast and how people can be charged for medical procedures and the like. And the same thing goes with, you have to do that in three categories. You have to do healthcare, which is primary because that's people on the edge, shelter because everybody needs it, and food. And those are going to be, natural order occurring elements of life. You can't be guaranteed a job, but keeping you under a roof or in a safe place with a fallout shelter when something happens, or making sure there are places to go in case of a tornado, that kind of shelter is natural to the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the United States, and you can argue it that way. So as you do that, you're going to have to put limits on how fast people can raise the prices on those things, because if you ever do have to go to UBI and you don't have rent control, or you don't have, or banks can change the interest rates not based on a Fed rate, but on whatever they feel like they want to loan it out, that money is gone in a day.
Yeah, all the rents will align with UBI.
It will just all of a sudden, if it's $1,000 UBI going everywhere, rents will go up $1,000. Everybody who owns a rental property will be able to justify it because they've been underpaying for a long time and it's cost and blah, blah, blah. And anybody who owns their own home will be able to take that $1,000. These are people with already acquired wealth. They'll still get the 1,000 because it's universal. They'll be able to put it in the stock market and grow their wealth, and they will get an even bigger step ahead of renters and people who have to pay actual bills. Will it make it easier for those people to pay? Yes, but it will put them on a treadmill just as quickly as if it never existed, because that money will go to the places where it will be food, shelter, phone. Your phone rate will go up, your rental rate will go up, that kind of stuff. And again, we'll have zero impact on people who don't need the money, who will also get it because it's universal. That's why means-tested UBI or something like that will end up being how it has to be done. That said, there are people who are going to be put out of jobs because of AI for a time, but a lot of those jobs will again be jobs that were dangerous or don't require fine motor skills on the level that humans are capable. So instead of just being the person that puts the box on the thing, you'll be the person that seals the box and puts a ribbon on it, so things will get nicer. So people will go, okay, now that we have robots doing this, how do we make our packages stand out? Oops, did we freeze for a second?
We're frozen.
It's my computer getting hot. I think that's what that is. It happens.
I can give you a base for the second show.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've done it before. Yeah, just to like put a fan underneath it, just waving the computer. So that if you don't have that in place before UBI, it will be taken immediately by anybody that can take it. And by the way, not just in the United States, because there are a lot of things like we were talking about earlier, you don't realize even in being woke, as it were, how many things happen outside the country, how many costs occur outside the country. So every country that's working for less money will try to find a way to take back a little bit more of that, raise the cost of shipping. Tariffing fights will happen because the government is subsidizing every one of their citizens with $1,000 extra buying power. That fucks my citizens out of their buying power because you guys just have a bunch of extra money to throw around and you're throwing it all over the fucking world, and now my people have to work extra hard, to justify it. So we're going to put a tariff on you because you're subsidizing every single thing your citizens buy. That's going to happen. That's part of UBI as well. So you have to have those protections, those guardrails in place before you do UBI. 5% rise in limit on the rise in rents, for example, which is what the Harris is proposing and Biden has proposed. The reason you would have that is because if you're going to do something like UBI, even in a limited way, you have to have that in place first. Hopefully that makes sense for people.
It seems to me that you could use AI as like a way to track sort of general motions of market manipulation. Mm-hmm. Because it's easy. As things get less centralized, more decentralized, like the price changes happen sort of in a very opaque way. But figuring out why it's happening, why are rents, you talk a little bit about corporations or LLCs buying up real estate and then taking that real estate and renting it out essentially, or using them as like daily, like Airbnb style hotels, like decentralized hotels. That affects real estate pricing and it affects rents, right? So if you could use AI to sort of try to find the sort of nuance of how that stuff is happening, you could then possibly have more focused regulation on those things. Or, one of the interesting stories that's coming out lately about inflation or the price gouging side of inflation is that people are just not going anymore. They're
right.
Like collectively deciding they're not going to buy certain things, go out to dinner. So, I guess I'm still quiet. I'm trying to speak. I'll speak a little louder, sorry. Maybe it's because my lavalier is... Anyway, whatever. I lost track a little bit. Oh, so maybe it can be used as a way to track as opposed to... And then we decide how to regulate after that point. Mm-hmm. What is this?
I was trying to make him into him wearing a kid's costume. This is John. So I asked it to make a picture of him wearing a giant box of Fruit Loops as a costume. And this,
kind of got there.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, the box is knocked out. Look at the Fruit Loops. It's spelled the way it
that's
is.
perfect.
The articles are fine. Yeah.
Text is very hard for AI usually, and it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
I can't see the top there, but it looks like it did in English, Spanish, 3 something.
Like 3 essential vitamins or whatever usually is what it says up there, or something along those lines.
It doesn't look like an intelligible word. Mark Kremer says, I blame all the Twitter dancing videos for the weird Grok arms and feet. Sure. It's not a question, Mark. We need questions.
That's right. Blame all the Twitter dancing videos for the weird Grok arms and feet. Yes. But going back to the other thing, the problem with profits and continually rising. Okay. You are thinking about this all wrong when it comes to profit and capability and capitalism and socialism and communism. All of those numbingly become useless as examples in an AI future where the level of productivity, automation, and stuff becomes trickled down to almost every human being. When you're getting to the point where even people of moderate income can afford an AI maid, which is where we're headed, there is not a single. What? Oh, do we freeze for a second? Sorry.
Is it really hot?
Yeah, it's probably cooking.
I can get you a fan.
Yeah, or simply something to rest it on. Usually is what I think.
I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. I'm resting my. It's just got to have better ventilation over a little bit. That's the issue. So, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. But when you cannot, whoops, there you go. Oh, look at that. Oh, you got an actual, one of those. Lovely. Okay.
I need to plug it into something.
I'm out of, I think, thingies.
Never easy, is it? Here, I'll plug it into mine.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
All right, we're combining the computers.
Look at that.
They're now connected to each
Cross
other.
the streams. Sorry, Egon, you said crossing the streams was bad.
All right, these streams crossing should not cause any crash.
Okay, good.
All right.
Oh yeah, it's definitely getting better air. So
it's all about the heat.
Yes, it is. It really is. Heat dissipation is a big thing. So hopefully this you have to.
That goes to the thing about, you've talked about how in the 80s when we started moving production to Asia, that wages got stagnant, but your ability to purchase goods went higher because the goods were cheaper.
Yeah.
And not that that's a good thing, because that it would have helped if people had jobs here as well.
Yeah.
And moving all those production jobs kind of ruined a lot of our infrastructure. So we need to switch it back. But it's sort of the same concept that as you have the access to technology and the productivity, you can become more productive, and then in theory, your value as an employee gets higher.
Right. There is an inherent grease monkey attitude that people have about, there are just some people who aren't going to be able to understand complex things, and we need, almost like that Smales line in Caddyshack, well, the world needs ditch diggers too. It's the idea that human beings, by class or example or whatever, are you trying to move your mic on the inside to try and give it a little, move.
More away from the collar,
right?
Maybe I'm blocking the sound.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's not that I'm really goddamn loud, and you're not.
I mean, it's not going to judge.
I need a compressor on it. How? I need a compressor on this thing. So
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. It just there won't be and I understand where the concept comes from, and Right Said Rob's kind of thinking of it in terms of the politics of our current time. But I got to tell you, huh?
I'm thinking.
No, that Right Said Rob, not the real, not real Rob, not actual Rob here, but that Rob. Right Said Rob was saying, the problem with profits is continuously rising. It rarely significantly drips down to workers. Well, first of all, it does actually. The general lifestyle of the average human being in this country has advanced to the point where hoarders is more of a problem than scarcity. Oops, we froze again. Hold on.
It needs to cool down a little.
Yes, it does. It needs to cool down before it starts to recognize it. Yeah,
it's getting there.
Yep. You gotta
just give us a couple minutes.
Yeah, just or a couple of shirts to iron. But I hope that makes sense. But like the availability of IKEA. Oops, see it, there it is again. Look at me being all like serious, and you're all happy. Frozen. They can hear us, so they just gotta wait till it moves again. There we go.
We'll fix this for the afternoon
show. We will, absolutely.
I mean, we are an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes in, and no problems.
Yeah, pretty good so far. Yeah.
So.
And none of it's internet based or technology based. It's just the limitations of physics. But people are going to have to part with their idea of what it means to be like a worker versus a business owner versus a business and that kind of stuff. Increasingly, as we go on, as AI becomes a part of our life.
It's
getting there. Yeah, they're closer together. Yep.
We'll definitely have this fixed.
It's just a series like a film strip. I like that one.
You can never be perfect, or else you'd think.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my stream.
Exactly. What happened to Al's?
This is how you know it's real, baby. This is how you know it's real. But
maybe people are saying that they're not. I don't know. People aren't saying it's freezing, so maybe it's not freezing for them for some reason.
Right. Maybe it's just that would be hilarious. If only you and I are seeing the free. That seems odd.
Well, I'm glad we didn't do anything weird while it was frozen.
Yeah, really. Weirder. Okay, so.
So for everybody, it looks like it's freezing on our side.
Yeah.
So
occasionally.
They're saying it's not though. So.
Okay, good. Excellent. Then we're just like reacting to something that's just weird, like on our end. All right. The point I'm trying to make is that you have to wrap your head around the idea that how we view, once we get to the point where you've automated all the dangerous jobs, and that people are spending a better portion of their time doing finer work as opposed to lunk or dangerous work. The idea of what it means to be a worker or workers' rights or any of that stuff is going to change even in your discussion about it. It will seem like, even now, toil at a desk is toil. It's still work. Nobody is questioning that someone sitting at a desk, has issues. You sit long enough like that, you'll get pounds in your lower back and all that stuff, and standing desks and all the stuff. And yes. Is carpal tunnel real? Of course it is. Is it the same as someone bumping into you on an industrial line in 1907 and hot molten metal pouring across your leg, and you telling us, your grandchildren telling a story about how their grandfather had their leg boiled off making beams for a steel mill? No, it's not the same. And the finer aspects of unionizing and all that stuff will get increasingly more difficult to argue. And unionizing a coffee shop is necessary. You're around hot things. You're dealing with that shit all the time. You have a customer bias that you have to operate within. You have rush hours that are there's not nearly enough people, and followed by arcs of tedium and stuff. That's the closest thing we have it. But even that will increasingly be automated, so that even the people in those situations are only dealing with the specialty, finer aspects of it. It is only the fact that Americans need finer and finer coffees and have specific needs for their coffee that there are that many people working at Starbucks at any given time to where you could unionize.
Yeah, you could robotically just have a drip coffee machine, and
you could have a bunch of Keurigs sitting on a counter, and you could just come up and do it.
It wouldn't be quite as fun, though.
No, it wouldn't. Right. And that's the thing. So human beings will be invested in the finer things, and personality-based and humanity-based things become more human in what they're doing, as robots and AI take away the mechanical tedium part of doing it. So even people at the lower rung of what would be the worker scale right now will be to use the phrase of Billy Blaze, idea man, Jack. I'm an idea man. I got so many ideas that I can't keep them in. So I write them in here, and then I don't forget them. You know, here's an idea, edible garbage.
And anybody who tells you that, like, not everybody can do that, well, they're, first of all, they're like, yeah, they can. And, but there's still going to be labor, like physical labor jobs.
Yeah.
And we need to be careful about making sure we like train people for those things, and don't have a hierarchy of what one's value is over another person's value.
Right.
And that's not socialism. That's just humanity. Like,
so much more room for activities. That's right, Brenda. Right. It's from Step Brothers. It's what a great reference.
Well, I think Rob said. So do you see a future with AI in which we would need a better safety net? I think we kind of covered that.
I can't form a question, but interested in discussion of natural singing voice versus auto-tune versus AI. Yeah, well, I gotta say,
Nika Crickles. I was having trouble.
Ninka Crinkles. Yeah.
Ninka Crickles.
Yeah.
Crinkles. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I actually, auto-tune was the bane of my existence for a while, because it sounds so like crystalline and awful. And real singers, back in the day, used to just hit the notes. And there's so many, like my buddy Bumper was working on a song of his, and he had mouth cancer, so he had to get part of his tongue taken off, and then they did a skin graft and all this stuff. So he couldn't sing for a while, and he was doing his album though. He's trying to work on this song, and so he would sing stuff, but it would be off because his mouth is messed up, and so he had to auto-tune everything. And so he just got in there. Once you do one thing, once you auto-tune one track in something, everything has to be done that way, because it sounds wonky. A human voice next to an auto-tune voice sounds fucked up, which I think increasingly is making it so that people are forgoing auto-tune and just singing in key again. And because you want to hear them sing it live. Now, will there be people who sing through autotune? Oh, indeed there are. As a matter of fact, there was a quite famous singer that I sang with at Steel Panther once. I did a song and he did a song. And we both just jumped up there and did a tune, except I was actually there and I didn't know what song I was singing, and they asked me up and I sang the damn thing. And he showed up after weeks of negotiation with his team and Steel Panther to make it look like this spontaneous moment happened. And I'm not going to say who it is, but his name rhymes with Dustin Timberlake. And he sang through a processor that had 3 redundancies in it, 3 of the same devices stacked. In case one fails, there's a backup, and another fails, because you got that kind of money, nobody's going to screw with your potential, oops. Yeah. It's always got a backup. It had an equalizer, a mic, basically a smoothing compressor that was just like the kind you would use in an old studio, but the modern version of it that's super expensive, like a $10,000 vocal compressor.
Wow.
Right? And then an auto-tune device. And the auto-tune device just, what's the key? And it was one of the ones that can listen, and you could plug it into one of the instruments or put a mic on stage. So if the amps or if the guitar's slightly out of tune, it will detune your voice to fit exactly in the pocket of the guitar. Look at that. Looks like I'm being robbed by you, Rob.
Yeah, but they don't see it happening. That's weird.
Cool. So anyways, it was a lot. And I was like, dude, you sing fine. Just do it. And yet,
Wouldn't do it? Okay.
No, wouldn't. Yeah, didn't trust it. But I would say that the more AI music shows up, the more people want to see somebody live. The more people love the idea of seeing someone perform for real. Mm-hmm. And recordings would be like, oh yeah, he or she this band tracks everything live. They're not even using a click track anymore. Like that will matter more. Will come back around to almost like 60s level production.
And it'll become the feature that you
look for.
You market or you look for. Exactly.
That's right.
It'll be the thing that makes somebody more popular than the other, right? So it works itself out every time.
Yeah. Or like the no AI. Yeah, it's like digital versus vinyl. A little bit. I'll tell you what it's like. It's like every band out right now versus Lenny Kravitz. I don't know if you know this, but Lenny Kravitz records himself like on 2-track tape.
Okay.
Through an analog board using old amps, direct the sound of whatever he's recording into it. Like classic microphones. Like he's everything being lo-fi is really important to his recording. Cool. And I have total respect for how he pulls it together. And the albums sound, by the way, they sound beautiful. They glisten, but none of it's an artificial fixed glisten. They just put the work in.
Yeah, right.
Also, used to be, and this is the weird part, this might be the AI thing. Look out for AI engineers' real gear. And this is what I'm talking about. So you've got a board and it's automated and you hook up an AI to it and you go, I want you to listen sonically with the ear of a Beatles engineer, listening for cool. I want the drum tone of this, and I want you to advise me on mic position and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna put the mic on the actual snare. We're gonna hit it like that, and using everything we know about all the Beatles songs and how they were recorded. I want you to, like a man on a talkback mic who's sitting in a studio in 1965, go move it closer to the center, and we're going to put some tape on the bottom there. Put a piece of tape across the bottom because that was the trick, right? And
interesting.
And that it will direct you in the physical world to try to help you recreate that thing using the stuff you have. And if you have a mic that's not classic like the Neumann or something, it'll go, oh, I know, this is different than the Neumann, so we'll EQ it such that it sounds much closer to what the expensive mic you can't possibly afford, but you're really recording.
In many ways, that's like an educational like a teacher, an assistant, sort of guiding you, teaching you, consulting with you, that sort of thing. Yeah, and it's good at doing that stuff. All right, so there's Hal's discussion. I don't have much to say about that because I'm not a music guy.
Right.
But that's okay.
Yeah. Well, no, it applies to a lot of things, though.
Yeah, it does.
So in the same kind of creativity that you're talking about, like, let's say I want to create a real painting of this, but I don't know, how do I create this tone of purple? Like, that's the purple I want. And it'll go, the closest thing you're going to be able to do using what you have, because it'll look at it, you can take a picture of something, what am I looking at? You go, use 2 swipes of the red and 1 swipe of the blue and stir them together. That'll get you close to what you're creating. And then in the future, you may just do that because you know. But if you don't know, it's like having Da Vinci as an assistant over your shoulder at all times, helping you work through it and going, you know what, I don't like that. Screw that. Keep that for later, though. Tell me that, save that recipe, because that particular purple is my purple. I like the sound. Whoops, I hit my mic.
I was moving it all around.
Right. I like that a lot. So there's a ton of that stuff. So let's see. I'm gonna go and picture.
Mr. Zombified says hearing bands live convinces me of their talent. Yes, exactly. That's our main point. Is it shifts you into different genres and different medias and things like that.
Yeah. And I have noticed, that's kind of interesting. So I asked the Grok thing right now just give me a picture of robots working in a coal mine. And this is what it came up with. Pretty good. I don't know what they're doing. They seem to be feeling the coal.
And they're like
fondling the coal.
Waist deep in coal.
Right, yeah. I mean, technically speaking, I don't know how they would work. Like, they wouldn't have to worry about their legs getting caught in it.
Maybe their legs are drills, and they
that's right. They're just and then they just push it up the thing. I mean, design-wise, why not?
Yeah. Cool.
But these are the jobs that in a lot of ways humans can't do because they're too dangerous. They're impossibly dangerous to keep doing.
Yeah.
And we know this because they killed lots of people.
Yes. And like, there's nothing wrong with making those adjustments, like,
It's like the best example I can give you is in Star Trek when Spock goes into the radiation chamber and sacrifices himself. If Data
right, like they didn't have a robot to send in there.
Yeah, if Data had been around in that storyline,
right,
you wouldn't have that storyline at all. Nobody would have to do it.
Yeah, so they had all this technology, but they couldn't send something in there to fix that thing.
Yeah, they didn't have an active and that's reason enough to have bipedal robots walking around.
There you go.
You need Ash from that's why they had Ash on the Nostromo, because if you need somebody to do a spacewalk that can touch everything, why not send out an android?
Yeah.
I prefer synthetic person. But yeah. And we still have Spock. Well, we still have Spock. It just wouldn't have taken 2 episodes, and
Right.
he wouldn't have had to live amongst larvae on a weird Genesis planet, and yeah.
Randy Travis used AI trained on his music to be able to make music again after throat cancer. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't been following that story, but I'm not sure how he's monetizing it. But yeah, that seems like a pretty logical. He trained it on himself. It's his voice, so. But is it his voice? Because it's not, right? So, are there other things? Actually, we started to talk about this before the thing, but
we're almost done. We got like 5 minutes left.
There's there's another story we talked 2 or 3 times ago about Sonos and their lawsuit. Suno, sorry.
Yeah.
Their lawsuit that's focused on trying to figure out how they trained it. There's another one for Stability AI, which is Stable AI, which is focused on Stable Diffusion, and Stable Diffusion's model was the basis of a lot of image generation tools. At any rate, the focus there has been in these lawsuits is to try to figure out what's happening on the training side. And I think through discovery, what they're really trying to do, 1, is learn how it's done. And 2, I think what we're going to get to is if this thing learned off of a whole bunch of content, and then it's creating something by bouncing off pieces of that content, then in theory, it should be able to tell you or give you attribution to all the things that it touched on to create the thing that you created.
Right.
And after that, then it's almost like a percentage game, kind of like in music, where it's like, well, anything that has more than X percentage of something needs to be attributed to this person, or you have to pay a microtransaction.
Right, or if you have to, if you use it commercially, you have to pay them a fee.
Exactly, yeah. And then tracking that. Now that's a whole nother level of technology built into this model.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where it probably needs to go in terms of the training side. So if you want to look that up, we won't get it on the thing in the next couple minutes. But Stable Diffusion is the name of their product, and then I believe Stable AI is the name of the company. And that's a massive, Midjourney. I think even Midjourney might be based off of Stable Diffusion's model, but I'm not sure about that. I'll have to look that up.
But yeah, that's
close here.
So yeah, we're getting to the tail end of this. By the way, Nerd Halen tonight. I'm going to do an afternoon show earlier than I normally would because when we finish this, it'll be 1 o'clock. So I don't know if we'll grab a bite to eat, or I'll run and grab a beverage or something, or go to Starbucks or something, and then come back. And then in like an hour and change or so, just do my regular show so that I can piss off to wherever I'm going to.
West Dundee.
Yeah, West Dundee. Thank you. I keep saying
you say
Des Plaines. I said Des Plaines, and I was like, don't say Des Plaines again. Yes, West Dundee.
West Dundee.
Yeah. So I got to go to West Dundee, and that'll take me about 45 minutes to an hour to get there. So, and I've got 5 o'clock sound check approximately, or 4 o'clock sound check rather. Yeah, 4 o'clock sound check. Yeah.
So you need to leave at like 3.
3-ish, yeah.
Okay.
They got to load in at 4, so it takes them, But we'll do that, and then I race back, get my clothes together, and then go back out there. So I'm going to do that. If that works for everybody, do it, let my computer cool off for a little bit. And then I'll do a regular Friday episode just a little bit earlier than I normally would. But because it's, I guess, Chicago time,
Yeah, we'll be good.
And and I have, and I've got, I had sound check, and then I got FaceTime with my kid, and then I got to drive back here, and then I've got to turn right back around and then go back for the show. And then tomorrow, radio-wise, normally we would do the show at, we would normally do the show at CPT. But I think in this setup, we can do it with Johnny here.
You can?
Yeah, if that works, and we'll just for fun, I can leave everything kind of set up, and then we won't have to worry about that. And then when I tear everything down, it's just, and then I head over and do sound check for Sexy Liberal with Johnny Million, which is very exciting. And then we get that show tomorrow night, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And then I left myself a little bit of cushion on Sunday to hang around Chicago.
Got to do that. There's plenty to see.
Yeah, I got to go I got to go eat at Homer's on Green Bay and Kenilworth, and then I got to drive by the old stomping grounds and all the I could do a fell in love, heartbroken tour of of the North Shore. Well, that's where we went out, and that's when it went away. It just
be a nice 80s movie.
Yes, it would. Yeah, it's basically while a John Hughes film plays in my head. But anyways, appreciate you guys. We'll sign off now, and I will see you guys in about an hour and a half for the afternoon show, semi-normal. And again, tomorrow I will be able to hook it up so that Johnny and I'll have to get a headphone splitter.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We have plenty of stuff around.
Yeah,
we'll also work on the mic stuff. Make sure that that's right.
Yes, I think. Johnny's a little louder than you are. Yeah, vocally. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. All right, I will see you guys later. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Thank you guys so much, and I want to real quick thank you, Some Watery Tot, distributing swords for the super chat. Hi guys, she said. Jenny, thank you. We'll see you tonight. Pam J, happy to see you as well. Carolina, thank you. I'm very glad to be back as well. And again, very normal shows next week. I was going to stick around for the DNC, but it's going to be a fustercluck here in town. And it's not like I would be able to do it from the floor anyways. I can do way better coverage from a distance, because it's the wind beneath my wings. And 56 Nick Rich, thank you. A buck for each shout out. There you go. So I guess you can add another one later.
Yeah, we should start saying his name more.
Yeah. How many times can you say it in 5? All right. And Brian, thank you as well for the super sticker. And Barbara, thank you for the super chat. But will there be a law that will prevent corporations from keeping prices high despite low production costs? They won't be able to sell their stuff because natural competition will take care of most of that. There's no reason, as things get, my best example is, those gold leaf chocolates, the ones that are round and they're crunchy on the outside and they soft in the center, and they come in a little dish and they got gold foil outside of them, and there's 3 of them in a package. Okay. Those used to only be available to royalty, literal royalty. You had to be born in a magic family and live and die in a magic family in a faraway land to ever have the taste of one of those things cross your lips. Ever, ever, ever. I'm not going to say it who did the last super chat because I don't want to pressure them to do another one, but it happened.
Nick Rich.
Don't do it. It's not fair. So you got us trapped. It's like an anti. It's like an anti. I know.
Take all of his money.
Exactly. It's an anti-branding exercise. But for real, no one. Now you can buy those in CVS. It used to be that no one, only rappers and the ultra rich could have a flat screen in their home. Now, people have too many and they're like, do we put one in the bathroom or do we throw it out? What do we do with the old flat screen? That's where we are, and that's going to continue to move in that direction. The costs and the cheapness of these things is trickling down. And again, as we've always said here, and this is I guess the mantra of Friday AI on so many levels is technology is deflationary. It will always become cheaper and faster. That's what it does. That's all it does. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.